All right,
Go
I'll say
ahead.
all the stupid stuff then. So, welcome to our team call, you guys. Thank you for being here on a Monday evening. And I'm really, really excited for this topic. So, my name's Emmy, if you're brand new and don't know who I am, and I'm going to be hosting the call tonight. And we're going to be talking about everything you need to know about going live and how to go live successfully and how to really make your videos the most effective they can be. So, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I made a slideshow so you don't have to stare at me the whole time. So let's do it. I've never used Canva for a slideshow, so let me know. You see this, yeah? It's full screen and all? Okay, cool. So yeah, like I said, this is gonna be a real step-by-step on how to go live. I was getting a lot of questions about this, and I also apologize, I'm like already starting to sweat because I get really keyed up on these. I'm probably gonna have to strip down in my sports bra, so that's awkward. I forgot to put on a shirt. Um, so I was getting a lot of questions about live videos. A lot of you guys may or may not know, I go live a lot. I had a video a couple weeks ago that kind of blew up, and I was getting a lot of questions after that video if I had any sort of techniques or if I was just kind of winging it. And I do have some techniques, so I'm going to share kind of my tips and tricks that I use when I go live. And if you don't know anything about me, because I know there are a lot of new faces, what I'm going to be pulling from tonight is two different things. So I used to actually teach public speaking at Florida State, where I went to college. It was part of my master's degree, as I had to teach. And it was like the scariest thing I've ever had to do because everybody's terrified of public speaking, including me. So it's pretty ironic that I had to teach it. But it taught me a lot. I think teaching the course taught me more than taking it when I was a student. So I'm going to be kind of pulling from, like, I literally went through my old syllabus and my lesson plans and all of my activities earlier today. And I'm going to try to give you guys a really condensed version of that class of what I normally would have taught in an entire semester in like 30 minutes. So I'm going to kind of bring the academic side of this that I used to teach in my classes. And I'm also going to bring some of the tips that I've gotten from Angie Lee's live video training course. If you don't know, she hosts Rich Bitch and the podcast, which is amazing. We also kind of took some of her training for the video we did or the call we did 2 weeks ago. But she sells all of her courses out via live video. She doesn't run Facebook ads. She has $250,000 launches for all of her programs, 100% thanks to live video. So she really knows her stuff. So I'm going to bring you guys kind of the academic side of tips and then also the stuff from Angie's training. And just as kind of a disclaimer, if you're thinking to yourself like, oh, I'm a brand new coach, or live videos scare me, I don't really do them, or I'll file this away for later when I start doing live video, that is incorrect. I'm just going to tell you right now, if you don't do live videos yet, this is the week you're going to start. And if you already do, then this is going to give you some good tips. But live video is where it's at. So I don't want anybody on this call thinking that this is not for them because they don't do them yet. We all start somewhere. Live videos are, what Angie says, are about 7 times more effective at selling. So in our case, that means getting coaches to join your team, filling your challenge groups. And these are some other stats. They're watched 3 times longer than regular, like pre-recorded videos. People comment on them 10 times more than they do on a written post or any other type of post. And if you're not aware, Facebook also rewards you for going live. So Facebook chooses who sees your posts and how high up in people's news feeds they show up. And by going live often, Facebook rewards you by bumping your post visibility. So the more live you go, it's not just going to impact those videos, it's going to impact all the rest of your posts, and you're going to see better engagement, more likes, more comments. So this is for everybody, and if you've never done a live video, this is the week you're going to start, and you're going to know a little bit better about how to now. Okay, so, and if you guys have questions during any of this, just comment in the chat, like you can stop me at any point. So there are basically 2 types of live videos that we're going to talk about, and this was, if you took a public speaking class in college, you might have studied these 2 types of speeches, and really everything that I taught in that class totally applies to live video too. And live video is just kind of the modern form of public speaking, but you can definitely take anything from that, from public speaking, and apply it to this. So if you took this class, you might remember there's kind of 2 types of public speaking, which is informative speeches and persuasive. And that's kind of how I break up my live videos too. So if you are not familiar with the book by Gary Vaynerchuk, Jab, 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 Right Hook, he kind of talks about the two different types of posts. So informative posts, whether it's a live video or just a post, these are kind of your jabs where you're just adding value, you're teaching people something, you're showing how to, maybe you're demonstrating, you know, something you have kind of figured out. You're just sharing it, you're adding value, you're just basically giving to your audience. And that is what really should make up about 80% of your posts, I think, and that includes live. So I would say going live several times a week, just sharing something you know how to do, demoing a recipe. I went live the other day talking about products that I really like for dry skin. Like, it can be anything like that, versus a persuasive live video, which is your right hook. So if you're not familiar with this analogy, this is where you're asking people to join your groups, join your team, actually, you know, selling, if you want to think of it that way, where you're actually getting people on board. Also, that would be like, hey, I'm doing a sneak peek this week. Comment below if you want to hop in, that sort of video. So again, you probably want to do mostly informative. We're going to run through both types, and I'm going to give you guys the formats that I follow because it is a little bit different for each type. But the vast majority of your live videos, I think, should be informative, not asking anything of your audience, just giving. And then when you do come around and ask something of them, they're going to be that much more likely to jump in and to join your team or join your group or comment that, yes, they want more information because you've been giving them so much free value all along. Okay, and sorry, my nose is running. It's like freezing cold, so I'm sorry, that's gross. Okay, so there are kind of some overall tips that I always use no matter what kind of video it is. These apply to both informative and persuasive, so I wanted to start with this because this is obviously where your whole video starts, and I genuinely think you have 10 seconds to actually grab the attention of your audience, because, like, raise your hand if you've ever been watching somebody's live video and you watch for maybe like 20 seconds and then you X out of it and continue to scroll. I mean, I do that all the time. I hate to say it, but I do, because you do really have about 10 seconds to hook your listener, and they're either going to hang on for the whole time or watch the whole recording, or they're going to leave and continue to scroll. So I think there are like two good ways, and Angie talks about this too, to grab people's attention immediately. So here's what you don't do. You see the little countdown on your screen. It says 3, 2, 1, and then you're live. You do not start it, and I know a lot of people do, and I used to, with, hey guys, how's it going? Oh my God, I'm so nervous. This is the first time I've ever gone live. I'm gonna wait for somebody to hop on. Drop me a comment if you can see this. Am I going live? Can you guys see me? That's what you don't do. Because if I'm watching the recording of that after the fact, which you have to realize the majority of your viewers are going to be not watching it live, but watching it later, they're out of there. That's so boring. Nobody has time to watch that. Comment, let me see. So the two good ways, yes, Angie Lee is amazing. The two good ways to start, one, launch right into the story. An example of this would be you launch right into something juicy that happened to you in real life. So I did a video recently where I was talking about like my past with counting calories and stuff, and I launched right into the story, and I was like, so I remember really distinctly, it was 2012, I was sitting with my family at Olive Garden, it was my mom's birthday, we were eating pasta, and I had my phone out under the table with my FitnessPal open, and I was trying to track the macros of how I could fit a half a breadstick into my day's calories, because I was so obsessed with tracking macros. Immediately I jumped, that is literally how I opened that video, jumped right into the story. Okay, that's going to grab people. They're going to be like, huh, what is she going to talk about? Where's she going to go next? Or maybe I relate because I used to track macros obsessively. So that's one really effective way. And I mean, I don't even really say, hey. Sometimes I'm like, hey guys, so this one time in 2013, but I pretty much go right into it. Another good way is a what if story. And this we're going to talk about more when we talk about persuasive. But this is a really effective way for immediately your listeners to know if they're going to want to stick around or not. Because you're going to say right off the bat, are you so sick of trying every diet? Do you start over every single January 1st? And then you're going to continue. I'll give you the format later on for what you can say after that. But you're basically going to set the stage and give them like a pain or a pleasure point that is immediately going to grab them. Or not, and that's okay, because you want people to know if this video is for them or not. Because if you start it with, are you a mom who just had a baby and you're trying to get rid of the baby weight? If so, this video is for you and you're going to want to stick around. if that's not you, then you're not going to watch, but the people who are going to need to hear that will stick around. So those are two really great ways to start. Title-wise, this is really important too, because if you might have the best video in the world, but if your title's really bland, or if you give everything away on your title, people might not watch. And I had a really hard time with this. My titles used to suck, and Angie's training helped a lot. She gives basically these 4 different ways, and I'll post these slides so you guys don't have to like frantically take notes on all this, but some good basic ways to structure your titles. You want to make them kind of clickbaity. And I know clickbait has a negative connotation, but if you pique somebody's curiosity, they're going to want to listen. So there's really nothing wrong with making your titles clickbaity, because you're actually going to add value as soon as they get in and start watching. So pain versus pleasure points, kind of touched on this in that last example about the way to start. You could say something like, in your title, you could title it like, how to never diet again, or are you trying to lose the baby weight, or do you want to throw out your scale? And that's going to perk people's ears up and make them think like, yeah, I hate dieting, I hate the scale, I do want to lose baby weight, and they're going to want to listen. I like the second one, mistakes and oops. I do this a lot, like the 5 biggest myths about fat loss, or the one thing I'll never do again, or why your diet isn't working. And people kind of people gravitate toward like negative sort of titles like that. My personal favorite that I do a lot is like why I think whatever is bullshit. I titled one of my videos why I think keto is bullshit. That got a ton of views. And I don't think it would have if I had titled that same video what my thoughts are about keto. Do you see how that's like not as enticing? But because I had a really like punchy word in there, people wanted to listen. You can do a how-to title. Those work great. Let me show you how I went from X to Z, my 3-step process to achieving anything. And then you can also do an asking the burning question. So she has this, like, for example, do you really need protein from meat? And this would be specific to your niche. So if you're a vegan coach, that might be a good one. Should you weigh yourself or not? So questions that people in your niche are really dying to know the answer to. So those are all just some good ways. I'm not going to spend any more time on that, but making them juicy and use the lingo of your customers. So if you're hearing people complain all the time about falling off track on the weekend, then make a video about like your 3 ways you stopped falling off track on the weekend. Whatever it is like that they're actually telling you they need is super important. Okay, before I give you guys the structure, because it's pretty cut and dry, I wanted to address the whole anxiety thing. This is how I started my classes every time I taught public speaking, because this is the #1 thing that people are thinking about, is how nervous they are to do this, how they're going to faint, how their voice is going to shake. And honestly, I think people get that nervous about live, because I know a lot of y'all have told me you don't want to go live and it scares you. First of all, you are safe. You're behind a screen. You don't have to click live until you're ready. You can practice. I rehearse all of my big videos, like the ones that I really care about. I just made one about eating honey as a vegan. I rehearsed that like 10 times. I rehearsed my big keto video I did recently. So you're safe. You can practice this as much as you want, but just first of all, it's normal to be nervous. My voice is shaking right now. I'm sweaty, like my nose is running. It's disgusting, but I always get nervous when I talk, but you just have to push through anyway. If you let people know that though, and you start it, like I said, with like, hey guys, I'm so nervous. This is my first live video. This is probably going to suck. Like, you're just losing people. So you don't have to admit to that. You can feel nervous, but I mean, literally in my public speaking classes, I made people stand up in their seats. We played Taylor Swift, Shake It Off, top volume. Sometimes I would play Lose Yourself by Eminem, and I would make them literally go like this with their hands and stretch and go run stairs outside and do jumping jacks to get their nerves out. So like, obviously my kids hated me, but it worked. So if that's what you need to do before you go live, do it. If you need to drink coffee or I don't know, like drink Energize beforehand, do whatever you need to do. And pick a topic that you're really comfortable with and that you want to talk about, because you get to choose what you're talking about here. It's not like public speech class. This is just another little quick tip. I always have my points written out on a Post-it note. And if I'm going to go live from my computer or my phone, it doesn't matter. I will prop my phone up against something and I will tape that Post-it note right next to the webcam where my eyes are going to be looking anyway. So it looks like I'm looking at the camera, but I'm really reading off my bullet point notes, and nobody knows. So you don't have to memorize it. I almost always have notes when I'm doing a long live video. All right. Any questions or anything? I feel like I'm like talking a mile a minute. We good? Okay. Okay, so you guys ready to dive into informative? I know this is like a lot of info fast, but this is the basic breakdown. So again, this would be something like how to start meditating, ways to boost your immune system, what foods you should buy organic versus conventional, how to make a vegan lasagna, like anything you know anything about. Those are awesome topics to go live on. And the basic structure, it's literally like a 5-paragraph essay from middle school or whatever. You're going to have your introduction. I'm going to give you exactly what to say in that. You're going to have your body, which is really like 2 to 3 main points that you want to illustrate. Things that are important, I think. This is exactly the structure I follow. So I know some of y'all have asked me, like, why do your videos always seem kind of like structured? And it's because they are. Like, I have these bullet points written out in front of me. And I know kind of the whole appeal of live is it's like casual and real life, and that's awesome. But I do think if you have bullet points and you know what you're going to say and you're not rambling, they're still more effective. Like, you can still be casual and, you're still going to be sitting in your living room and you don't have to have on makeup or anything. But having this structure, I think, just makes it more digestible for your audience and less stressful for you. So like we talked about, you got to grab attention fast. I always reveal my topic pretty early on, like immediately, so they know what I'm talking about. Listener relevance, and this is straight from my syllabus that I used to teach from. So listener relevance is where you explain, like, is this video for this person or not? So you could say something like, I'm going to talk specifically about how to lose the baby weight for somebody who's had a baby in the last few months. If that's you, then you're going to want to keep listening. If not, then you can leave, right? I mean, you don't have to say that, but they're going to get that. You want to establish your credibility. This is going to be important no matter what kind of live video. I learned this last week because so this is basically where you introduce yourself and you would say, like, hey, my name is Emmy. I'm a vegan health and wellness coach, and I'm going to be talking about this because this is something I used to really struggle with, and I figured out a way to stop dieting, and so now I want to share it with you. It can be that quick. But you want to establish who the heck you are to be talking about this, basically. I forgot to do this in my live video that I went live on last week about honey, which got 12,000 views, and I didn't even introduce myself in it. So that is why you want to introduce yourself, because you never know how many times that video is going to get shared. I got a ton of friends from that video. I got a ton of haters too, but that's another story. But you need to introduce yourself because you don't know what page that video is going to end up in. And not everybody watching is going to know who you are. And then this is the main thing I always do is I tell them what I'm about to tell them. So I say, in this live video, we're going to talk about how to stop using MyFitnessPal, how to find a system that allows you to still stay on track, but not track your macros, and I don't know, how to break up with the scale, whatever your 3 little points are. I mean, those are kind of 3 big points, but you're going to tell them what they can expect to hear. Okay, and then this one, I'm just going to skim through, but this is the body. This is where you obviously go over your main points. And you kind of should make each point if you can. And I'm not saying you have to sit down and like write this thing out like an essay, but I do jot down notes and I have bullet points, and I kind of write out my transitions, which are the things that connect point 1 to point 2 to point 3. So it can be something as simple as like, now that we've covered how to stop tracking or why to stop tracking macros, now I'm going to introduce to you guys an alternative method maybe you can use that lets you still stay on track. Something like that, so that your points kind of flow into one another. And the more you can stay on topic, the more brief you can stay. This does not need to be this big long thing. Mine usually are, but that's because I'm just a talker and can't usually stop. But you do not have to make this long at all. And then the conclusion is just where you wrap it all up. So the format we always said in my speech class was, you tell them what you're going to tell them. That's the introduction. You tell them, that's the body, and then you tell them what you told them. So you introduce what you're going to say, you say it, and then in the conclusion, you recap what you told them. And that just helps things stick in people's minds, and it just kind of leaves them with a summary. so that they know what they just heard and you remind them of what they just heard. And then you always want to end it in a bang. So with an informative speech, I'm not normally saying, drop a comment below if you want to join my group, because I'm not asking anything of them that's persuasive. But I am normally saying something like, I hope this gave you something to think about. Let me know if you disagree or agree. And if you can wrap it up with some sort of punchy ending, just like you start it with a hook, if you can kind of end it with something fun, all the better, so that you're not just really trailing off and you're like, all right, well, that's kind of all I had to say, I guess. So hope you have a good night. Bye. You don't really want to end it like that. So just kind of try to tie it up. You can give them some sort of like casual call to action, like let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear if you agree or disagree. If this was helpful for you, feel free to share it or tag anybody you know who might need to hear this too. That's what I say a lot. So, okay. You guys hanging with me? You good? All right. Something in the chat. I mean, yeah, and like I know Valeria, like we've talked about this, like you don't have to like reinvent who you are on video. I know you said like being kind of like casual and stuff like that is kind of your brand. That's totally fine. But again, like I used to end it like that too, but I think having something written out, I always kind of know how I'm going to start it and I know how I'm going to end it. Sometimes I stray in the middle parts, but at least knowing how to end it, it kind of takes some of the nerves away too. Okay, so this is where the meat is. I wanted to make sure y'all get this because this is what I use to actually make videos of like join my challenge groups, join my team. Of course, I don't title them that, but this is the meaty stuff that Angie teaches on. I have been using this format and it has worked so much better than anything else that I used to do. So this is where you want to throw in a video. You've done your jabs, your jabs, your jabs, your jabs. You've added value. And now you want to have a right hook where you really get somebody to take action and drop your name below if you're interested in, you know, your sneak peek or your group and get them to actually sign up for something. And this is her exact format. So I will post this. Whoops, I messed up the order of these because I had a step 1, but then I moved step 1 earlier in the slides. So ignore the numbers. And of course, I'll post this. And this is something that I have written out and I have it on the side of my computer when I'm going live so that I can see it and remember the order I'm going to go in. So I don't have this memorized is what I'm saying either. But okay, we're just going to pretend that says step 1. So this will be after you've already kind of started the video. Remember, if you think back to those 2 options, you're still either going to start it with a story, and again, you would jump right into it. That's what step 1 is supposed to be. So pretend that is written there. So step 1 is starting it. So you're going to start it with a story, or you can start it with that pain or pleasure point hook where you say, hey, have you ever been that person where, you know, you were sitting around the table out to eat with all your friends and family and you felt really bad because you were that annoying vegan who had to like ask for some special thing that wasn't on the menu and you felt like a giant pain and you were super embarrassed? Because if that's you, then this video is really going to speak to you because I'm going to talk to you about how to eat at a restaurant as a vegan without being, you know, embarrassed. That was one I did recently. So pain or pleasure point is step 1. And then like we talked about earlier, this still pretty much follows the whole informative structure too, is you're going to immediately establish your credibility. So after you say, if yes, this video is for you, I normally say something like, hi, my name is Emmy. I'm a health and fitness coach who helps women stop dieting and go vegan. And if you guys think back to a couple weeks ago, that's your hook. Remember we worked on those hook statements, like your sign over the door? That is where you put that in. So you know, if it's Carolyn, then she might say, hi, I'm Carolyn, and I'm a health and wellness coach, and I help women. I'm going to mess up your hook now, even though I've seen it a million times. But, you know, feel like your authentic or unedited self and feel like you fit in or something like that. You would put whatever, I know I messed that up, but you would put whatever your hook is so that people know what your specialty is. Because, again, you don't know how many times this is going to get shared in random groups. And when people are watching it, you want them to know who you are. Okay, and then step 3 is where you would actually go into kind of the meat of your topic. So you're going to save the pitch, which is where you're asking them to do something. That's going to come at the end. But before you ever ask them of something, you're still going to want to add value. So if you're doing a persuasive call on, does anybody have an example of one they've done recently? I mean, I can think of one if not, but if somebody wants to like workshop an example they have live, you can just type it in the comments, because otherwise I'll just have to think of something on the spot. No, nobody has one. Okay. If you think of one, you can type it in, and I'll kind of show you how it would apply. But let's say I'm doing a persuasive call on filling up my next challenge group, and let's say I'm talking about how most people, 88% of people, give up on their New Year's resolutions by Valentine's Day, which is true. So in this step 3, I would be talking about things like the statistics. So I would share that. I would talk about how 88% of people give up. I would talk about maybe how, why so many diets fail, and like just things like that, kind of talking about the problem that I'm about to offer a solution to. Does that make sense? So I did a persuasive video on joining my challenge group around Thanksgiving, and I talked about, specifically because I work with a lot of vegans or aspiring vegans, my step 3, where I was sharing kind of the main points, was me talking about like how it can be really embarrassing to go home for the holidays and have to have your family cook. That can be awkward around the dinner. That's the problem. So that's really the step 3 is kind of the haziest part. That depends on your topic. You're just going to talk about your topic though and offer some value and some helpful information. And then you're going to also offer some suggestions. You're going to talk about how you can overcome that. You're still not pitching what you're selling, which in our case is our challenge group or our team. You're not talking about that yet, but maybe you're talking about, ways you can have a meal plan or find recipes or, have support and accountability so that you don't quit on your New Year's resolutions. And then step 4 is super important. This is what I think Angie calls it the yes loop. This is where you're going to say, you're going to talk, and then you're going to say, okay, was this helpful to you guys? I really want to know. Let me know in the comments. Was this something that you found yourself struggling with? Yes or no? Because what they're going to be doing is in their heads, they're going to be saying like, yeah, that is something I struggle with. Yes, that was helpful. The more you can get your people to say yes mentally, the more likely they are to say yes to what you're offering them. So you always want to say, I literally say, like, was this helpful to you? Have you ever felt like this? Have you ever struggled? And then step 5 is I say, okay, because I know how you feel. I've been there too. I struggled with this for years. I struggled with setting the same New Year's resolution every single year. Every single year I would set it again because I hadn't achieved it. And I finally broke that and I went from X to Y. And you're going to share how you changed and how you overcame that. Or you can share a testimony. You can say, I helped Sarah go from X to Y and finally stick to a routine. So that those two just flow into each other really naturally. Saying, I know how you feel is like, if you probably remember nothing else from this call, just remember to do that. Because especially females, we purchase things or we sign up for things based on emotion. So if somebody's watching my video and they think that I truly know how they feel and have been there too, they're instantly way more connected to me. And then step 6 is where you actually are building up to offering them a challenge group if we're going with that example. You could totally do this whole system for getting somebody to sign up for your team. But this is where you say, okay, so you've established that this was helpful for them. You've established they've struggled with it. You've established how you've struggled with it and fixed it and come out on the other side. And then you say, what if I told you that I could give you a system where you never had to start another diet ever again on January 1st? I know my example says something different, but I'm just going to go with that example. So you really hit on those pain and pleasure points. What if I told you you could literally delete MyFitnessPal from your phone and never track a single macro ever again? And that this time next year, you would be 20 pounds lighter or whatever it is your people want and need. And then you share your offer and you say, because I have this new challenge group coming up that starts next week, and you give, Angie's really big, and I think this is helpful, on giving 3 super sexy bullet points. So this is where you'd say something not like, you're going to get a fitness program and Shakeology and accountability. Those are what you're offering. That's not very emotional though. What she says is to talk about the benefits. So I'm going to offer you a fitness program so that you never have to go to the gym again. I'm going to give you a meal plan so that you never again have to pass up the bread basket at the restaurant and you can eat, I don't know, a balanced diet. And then I'm going to give you support so that you actually stay on track and don't fall off the wagon. So do you see how those are structured in a like it's gonna give you this so that you can that sort of format. That's really helpful. I used to just kind of rattle off all the information about a challenge group. Nobody cared because they didn't get what that was gonna do for them. But now I'm saying, here's exactly what it's gonna do for you. And I'm hitting on those pain and pleasure points that I know my people have. And if you haven't yet, I would suggest after this call, you make that pain and pleasure point list, which I know we talked about 2 weeks ago, I think, because all of this is going to work a whole lot better if you know exactly what your people's pain and pleasure points are. Okay, and then last step is you beat them to the objection. And I love this because we all know that money and time holds almost everybody back. So on this live video, after you've explained what they're going to get, I immediately say like, okay, I know what you're thinking. I know you think you can't afford it. I felt the same way. I was a broke grad student when I started this, but I also knew that I could not continue to live my life tracking every single bite of food that I ate on an app and crying at night because, you know, I was hungry or, you know, I'd gone over my fat grams by 2 grams or whatever it is. So you just beat them to the punch with the objections. And you basically just walk them through that live so that by the time they get off that video, they're like, yeah, she's right. Like, yeah, I don't really want to spend the money, but I also know like something has to change. And then you just drop your call to action. So I would suggest that something like, if this spoke to you, if you've resonated with what you've heard tonight, drop your favorite emoji or your name below. I will get you a form to fill out to get you all the information, and we'll go from there. I don't say the price on there because that does depend. Obviously, we have different things. But I have presented what I have to offer. I've knocked out the money objection, so they know it's going to cost something, but I've already walked them through that. And then I've given them a call to action. And I oftentimes will drop a link in the comment of like a Wufoo form or a Google form for them to fill out and get more information about my challenge group. It's important that you drop that as a comment and not in the title of the video itself for numerous reasons, but Facebook penalizes you if you put the link in the actual title. So that is the format for Persuasive. I know that was like kind of rapid fire, but do you guys have questions about any of that? And again, I will post these slides because I know that was obviously a lot, but that is the format I follow every single time when it's something like that. I'm always establishing my credibility. I'm going into some free value giveaway points, and then I'm going straight into the pitch, asking them if they were late, establishing who I am and how I've been there and I'm through it, telling them what I'm offering them, and then knocking out their objections live, and then giving them a call to action. So super important that you don't just finish the video with step 8. You got to give them something to do. People like being told what to do. So whether that's message me, drop a comment below, you know, drop a heart comment if you're interested, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But that is super key. Any questions in the chat? I don't think so. Okay, almost there, I promise you guys. So I was just gonna, I'm probably like way over time. No, because we started late. Okay, let me keep going.
No, you're good.
What?
You're on track. You're good.
Okay, cool. Because I'm talking a mile a minute. So we kind of hashed out some of these, but common mistakes to avoid, and then I'm going to give you some little polishing touches to do as well. But things to avoid, this is like my pet peeve when I watch a video and people wait for people to hop on. It does not matter if nobody is on. In fact, I've gone live this week where 0 people were watching. It doesn't matter. You keep going because it's not about the people that are watching live. It's really much more about the people that are going to watch the recording for weeks and months to come. And if somebody's watching a recording of something 2 months old and the whole first 20 seconds are like, wait, I'm going to wait for somebody to hop on, they're like, this is stupid, I'm going to stop watching. So do not do that. Like I said, you have those 10 seconds to grab somebody's attention. That's really quick. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're either gone by then or they're going to hang on. So that's really fast. So do not spend any of that time waiting. Just go. People will hop on. Using tons of fillers, as I just said a filler, that was good. So this is like more of me just in my old teacher mode. And I don't think this matters quite as much on live because it is more casual and it is, you know, you in your own house. You can talk however you talk. But I think it is distracting when somebody's saying nothing but and so and like. And a fun game, I'm not going to make you guys do this. I was going to be really mean and make us play this game on the call, and I was going to call somebody out. and make them talk for 30 seconds. And we were going to write down how many fillers we heard, but I decided not to do that because I didn't want to be super mean. But I made my students do this, and they hated me. So, I mean, we can do it, Valeria. If you're volunteering yourself, we can do it. But what I would say is talk for 30 seconds, set a timer on your phone. Like, you can do this. It might honestly work better if you grab your boyfriend or your husband or your family or your roommates and do this evening, is talk for 30 seconds on any topic. So have like if I were going to do it, I have my boyfriend give me a random topic. And he says, okay, I want you to talk about your favorite vacation as a kid. Go. 30 seconds, times me on his phone. And what I would have my students do is I would literally have somebody stand in the middle of the room, and we would get in a circle around them. And they would have to stand there and talk. And every time they said, like, so, basically, anything that's a filler, I was pretty harsh. The whole rest of the class would yell that filler back at them. So they'd have like 30 people echoing every filler they said, which it's funny and stuff. It's not supposed to be mean, but it just makes you aware of how much you're using fillers. So try this game out this evening because you'll be surprised how much you use fillers. And like I said, it's casual. I get it. It's Facebook Live. But I think it does at the end of the day detract from your credibility a little bit if every other word out of your mouth is And I know I do this too. I'm working on it. So that's one thing. You can play that game. I was going to make Carolyn do it, but I just don't want to I don't want to keep the call going all night, but it would have been kind of fun. So you guys would have yelled back at me just then. That's how that works. Okay, and then letting your nerves show. We talked about this a lot, but really, guys, your energy level has to be high on these videos. If you go onto these just super tired and kind of low, and it's really dark, and you're just way down here, nobody's going to listen. So fake it till you make it. I've literally had glasses of wine before I've gone live sometimes when I was really nervous. I've certainly drunk Energized before. Hype yourself up. I'm telling you, I played Gangster Rap in my classroom and made people get up and dance, and these were like frat boys, and they hated it, but it worked. So just get your energy level high. And then last slide, polishing touches that I think do help. And we don't think about these, but they do make a difference. Get some good lighting. So I don't know, I mean, my lighting is not great right now, but the only reason it's decent at all is I have this little $10 ring that we got. Yeah, a bunch of us have them. These are on Amazon. We can post the link. I use this every single live video. It's a game changer. I mean, I don't know if you can tell because it's not even on full force right now, but that's what it looks like on. That's what it looks like without. And I'm almost always going live in the dark because it's dark around here at like 3:30 in the afternoon. Get yourself some decent lighting. I go live in the same place every time because it's the only place in my house that is near a window if I'm going live earlier in the day. It's got good natural lighting. It's where I am almost every single time I go live. And let's see, somebody had said, yeah, Carolyn posted the link. It's the best $10 you'll ever spend. It makes a difference. And that goes for everything. Pictures, anything you put on social media. Get decent lighting. Get an uncluttered background. I go live sitting on the floor next to my closet because it's the only white space I have in my whole house. That's where I'm always sitting. I'm also just going to order a tapestry on Etsy that will have a pretty background. It'll be the same for every video. So I'd recommend doing that as well. Or get outside if you can do that. Outside here for me is like snowy and awful. So like I said, get rid of your nerves. Know your shit. Practice. I practice my stuff a lot. I talk to myself every single time I'm in the car driving. I'm rehearsing for my next live like a crazy person, but it really does help to get rid of your nerves. If you're nervous, the best thing you can do is practice a ton. I made my students practice 20 to 40 times, I suggested, before they ever did any of their class speeches. So you don't have to do that, but run through it 2 to 3 times in front of the mirror. Again, I always have a little outline taped up. I will literally scotch tape it to my computer screen. And this is just a little engagement tip. Let me see something in the comments. Why can't I see the comments anymore? I can't see them. The whole bar just went away. So if somebody wants to answer them if they're anything important, I don't know.
There's nothing in there.
Okay. That's weird. So engaging immediately after your video ends. Don't go live unless you have about 20 minutes or so afterwards where you're going to be able to comment back to people, because that 20 minutes after your video ends is key. So every single comment I get during my live video, after it ends, I go back and watch it and I comment back. And I comment back with questions so that I can keep the conversation going, because the more comments you get immediately after your video, the higher the engagement. And I'm pretty sure that's why my video got 12,000 views. Part of the reason the other week is because the comment section blew up, which was good and bad, but ultimately good because whatever, a lot of people saw it. So engage in the 20 minutes afterwards. That means not just saying like, thanks for the comments, but really engage and ask some questions and keep the conversation going there in the comments. And again, like I said, I think post any links you have in the comments themselves, not in the caption. And that, yeah, the last one's blank. That is everything. I was trying to talk really fast. Let me see what was in the chat. Okay, good. Yes, we're done, Ashley. So go get your kids to sleep. But okay, what questions do we have? Anything and everything. I know that was a lot. Like I said, I'll post the slides. But do you guys have any questions about any of that or any lives you've been wanting to do or anything? Nope. Okay. Well, you can type it in the chat if you do, or if you think of one later. But let's do this. Let's all comment in the chat with what day this week you're going to go live. And if you know your topic, type it. And what you can do is before you go live the day of, like a few minutes before, post in the team page and we can all go watch it if we're free. But let's go ahead and like actually commit to when we're going to go live, because I know there's a lot of fear around this and you just got to do it. Otherwise, it doesn't get any better. So type that in the chat and then you're free to go. Wednesday and Thursday. Awesome. Yay, on your birthday. Awesome. So now you guys have to do it. Awesome, love it. Yeah, Lauren, I know you can because you went live the day you signed up to coach, which is awesome. Perfect. All right, well, I am excited to see all these. And again, if you are going live, just let us know in the team page and whoever's around can go watch it in real time and comment. And all right, if you guys have posted your thing and don't have any questions, then I hope this was helpful. And yeah, I'll post the links in the team page. All right, good night, guys.